Preventing that a bit. Oh, and a Mirana.
Wow,
Mirana carry.
Not what I was expecting.
That's old school.
Well, having the Darkseer kind of is counterintuitive now, I feel. In some ways, at least he's going to be able to farm his lane. Like, Darkseer is good at farming his lane right now, but he can't really do any shifty gank kind of stuff. Like, occasionally it's nice to have a Darkseer TP to a lane, Iron Shell Surge a core, and just blow somebody up that you don't expect. So, but his team fight will be good as well, and you can mess with Sven a little bit. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at the draft. I can't see
it's
anymore.
Because of Fluff.
My memory's terrible.
Fluff is drafting. That's why the Mirana is.
This Finn pick does kind of worry me, though, and you kind of were touching on this, is there's a lot of ways they can screw up these team fights. If cogs are bad, if you have a bad fissure, suddenly Sven BKB with God Strength, it's just not going to accomplish a whole lot. And you're not going to get a whole lot out of the Warcry either when you think about it, because yes, you have the ability to initiate these big fights, but they have predominantly magic damage that you're going to have to be worrying about. So they have to be real careful. They're going to need really, really excellent play out of their initiators.
Yeah. Well, we can't, nothing short of Kotaro picking another yet manly hero, as he's been doing throughout the qualifier so far, so I'm sure he knows what he's doing. Well, we'll have to see if that's the case or not. So with that, we're going to go ahead and hop into the game here. A very important series, I remind you. These teams need a 2-0 run. If they end up 1-1, it might be all for nothing, and Mouse Sports will get that second spot. So we're looking for them to get that 3 points and advance on forward. So with that said, we're going to be throwing it over to our casters, Purge, and of course, welcome back once again, AC, man. Appreciate it, man. So good luck, guys.
It's so great to be back. Thank you so very much. And of course, thanks to everyone who's tuned in on the stream right now. Thanks to you, Purge. And I was actually talking to you on the lounge stream before this. One of the very first interviews I did, I was asked to name an analytical caster who I would like to cast with more than anyone. This is going back 3, maybe 4 years now. And I actually named you back then. And this is the first time, to my recollection anyway.
Yeah, I believe so.
That we've actually been on the mic together. So should be a lot of fun. As was covered, this is very important. Not just this game, this series as a whole. 1-1's not good enough. Root and Unknown, both to keep their tournament hopes alive, need to make sure they sweep the other side. We can see the lanes beginning to take a little bit of shape. They got some eyes on some things, but nothing so far. What we have about 15 seconds. How about we run through our lineups, beginning with Unknown. On the Earthshaker, we're going to have, I can barely read his name. Z-Talk, sorry about that. The horn's blown, so we're going to wait and see this battle for the rune. And Fogs will go down. But it looks like, just going to be picked up. No problem there. Continuing now with the lineups on the side of Root. Clockwork to be played by Greedy. Going to have Ancient Apparition handled by, I can never read that purple at all.
Let me. Maybe we should just.
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe we should get out of these names. This is too hard. Too much.
How about you break down the lanes for me?
All right. Shadow Fiend is going to be covered by a stacking Ancient Apparition, I guess. Could get some Chilling Touch level 1, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And it's an aggressive dual lane, actually. So Darkseer, in addition with Fluff on the Skywrath Mage, should guarantee Monkeys gets level 2. And at that point, he's actually going to be a huge nuisance against the farming Sven. So that's looking pretty good for Root here. And they've got an Earthshaker in the area, and the Ancient Apparition shifts over, but they can't dive him. The creep wave's pushing. So I think this is looking really good for Root. They just need to get Darkseer 2. Then the Skywrath Mage can shift off and pressure other lanes, maybe the Shadow Fiend or something. So that looks pretty good for Root.
Yeah, I think that's such a good call. Anytime you can put a Darkseer like this, especially when you know you're going to get some experience up against a melee farmer, it's just so problematic. It doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but it really does make your kill potential in the lane that much less, and it allows you, like you said, to really begin to rotate help early on, be it rotating away from that lane or rotating elsewhere. It looks like they're trying to make a run.
He's got to dodge the fissure, but he's got a lot of tangos. He's should be able to get out. There's the fissure.
Good fissure.
Oh, he does get blocked in there. He's having a little bit of trouble finding the pathing. Runs to the other side. He puts the Iron Shell on, and there's the damage.
He's done.
Wow, that's so much.
Caught it around.
Some time. Can he get the hit on A? Almost.
First blood. Yes, Root.
Skywrath Mage with the first blood. That was close.
Root drawing the first blood. It ends up being a 1-for-1, but definitely a win. Given it's a dual lane versus a tri-lane, that looked to have been a sure kill. There's no reason that they shouldn't have cleaned that up easier, but on top of it is Fluff, so make it 1-1.
It's pretty amazing how much Chilling Touch slows you now. It looks like you're hitting an Enchantress or something like that. You just feel like, okay, got him.
Yep.
Bonus damage. So Chilling Touch hurting a bit there. I think it's minus 20 attack speed now. It's pretty significant.
Early CS, just the first 2 minutes, we are going to see a haste rune spotted by Fluff, and let's see what he wants to do with it.
There's no mana on Lesh otherwise. He's very low. I think he should go for this.
Yep, I agree.
He's got no tango.
He's level 2 as well.
So he's got about an easy 120 damage out of magic. Here it comes.
Yep.
Does he have vision? There's a vision.
Oh, and he's actually coming
First
up
nuke
towards the
slow.
tower.
He's got to wait 4 seconds for another nuke. That's what he's got to wait for. That's the only way he's going to kill the SF. Otherwise, he'll lose the trade. Oh, and he gets blocked by creeps. He's going to have to juke around. Lesh
Here
is
comes
coming
Lesh.
past.
TC trying to pursue him out. Looks like, yeah, that's actually a very good play by the Shadow Fiend to make sure he stays safe. Bit of a missed opportunity, but still. Forcing him out of lane, forcing a little extra regen.
It's unfortunate. If you got there a little earlier and Shadow Fiend was in the middle of the lane, then you definitely could have gotten him. But sitting next to the tower, able to juke around the trees, it was a good place. So, and he actually didn't lose much at all from that. It looks like Fluff's also okay.
Yep.
Really didn't lose a whole lot. He's got brown boots here. One tango left over. A little bit of damage from TC. Here comes the slow. Actually, stun lands.
Beautiful
30%
shot.
slow for 3 seconds, and another nuke.
He's
couple
done.
more hits, and that's going to be it.
That's
Great
such
kill.
a big kill. Such a big kill, especially for Fluff, since he did wander out. We can already see Leshrac nearly level 5 now. Fluff, he has to have gained quite a bit of experience from that. Yeah, almost level 3. Was going to say just from that kill and a little bit of creep XP. So that's, I mean, especially it's a Shadow Fiend, someone you want to come on sooner rather than later in any circumstance. And allowing TC on that Leshrac, that little leg up, means they're going to be able to team fight so much more quickly.
Yeah, and pressure the lane even harder. Barely dodging the fissure there, and he's going for the max laning build. Definitely the best one for static farming lanes. Against a Shadow Fiend, you have to go for this build. There's no other way you can, because he's just going to double raise eventually, and you won't be able to get much out of lane if you don't have laning. So very important that he has been skilling that up. If we take a look at the top lane for the first time, it's an off-lane Clockwork. It's being very zoned by the Dazzle. Dazzle's actually a pretty good zoning hero. He actually did skill Poison Touch. It helps you a lot to zone. It does about 145 physical, which is not bad. It doesn't get blocked by Stout Shield, so maybe a wasted skill point later on, but in the early laning stage helps hurt Clockwork's EXP gain and delaying that 6 as long as possible. It's very important.
Well, if you're going to run a Mirana core like this as well, whenever you're talking about physical damage output, I mean, outside of the odd Shadow Wave, she's pretty much what you got. Like, that's where your physical damage is going to come from. She has to have a good start. She can't be harried, and she has to be safe. And I saw that Dazzle actually hung on to his skill point as well, so anticipating perhaps that there will be a rotation up to try and put some pressure on. For now, though, looking quite good, level 4 and near the top of CS.
On the bot lane, the Sven was getting really pressured here. Very low on HP, doesn't have any regen left. Skill build, very interesting. 2 in cleave. Now, if you do end up going to the jungle a lot, which is what we saw Kotaru do when he played Ursa, he'll get a bit of experience, maybe a Midas in the lane, and then he's going to go jungle. And if you get a lot of cleave levels, you're actually going to farm very rapidly, because even 2 points is equivalent to a Battle Fury. Obviously, you don't have the plus damage, but I mean, yeah, that is what he's going to max out first. That should get him a lot of farm in the early jungling. So they'll shift the Ancient Apparition into his lane or the Earthshaker. They'll get levels and farm, and then Sven will catch up. So if Root can identify that, and they can put a lot of pressure on the Radiant jungle while he does jungle there, they have a good chance of getting a big advantage and maybe taking the tier 1 tower.
Well, as this continues to go, and like you were saying, with Sven going the build he's going, looking to really go late, not necessarily super late, but much more farm-oriented than fight-oriented early on, and the Shadow Fiend having died once, and the fact the hero does take a little bit of time to really come online and feel safe. It seems to me, Perch, that Root is going to have a very, very precise timing window that they're going to have a chance to hit. Once Mirana hits 6, which she's almost there now.
Oh, that's a kill.
Ooh, yep. Greedy. Living up to his namesake, ends up getting a little out of position. And that's a big kill as well, and this kind of plays into what I was building on. Now with that, Mirana's either level 6 or very, very close to it, and they have that mass amount of damage output. They're really going to be able to come online with a much smaller number of items compared to Unknown. How do you think they're going to play that out?
I mean, they definitely don't have late game heroes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But the same kind of goes for Sven. Sven is a hero that usually peaks off on items somewhere around the 50-minute mark and kind of runs out of item slots just because he farms so fast due to his cleave. So I think the game's going to go in a place where Root has assuming gold gains are the same or the amount of items they have are the same, I think Root should have an advantage up until the 30-minute mark, maybe 25-minute mark, and then Unknown's going to be really strong until the 50-minute mark.
Right.
And then late game, Root's going to have Leshrac, a farmed Mirana. I think Darkseer could have a lot of resistance things like Pipe, Force Staff, Mech, and that should limit a lot of what the Earthshaker as well as the AA can do. So it pretty much comes down to the Mirana, honestly. In a very late game situation, Mirana has a lot of damage output, assuming she has Manta, Daedalus, maybe a Diffusal Blade, Butterfly, things like that. She does rely a lot on her spells in the early game, but in the late, it's damage output.
I don't think that's the plan at all, though. I think this is a game that Root it's probably going to close out sooner rather than later. And what I'm more intrigued by is how are they going to go about this? Like, once they get a few core items up, once they start to feel confident, they can go take a fight, and Sven and the Shadow Fiend are a little bit further behind in their item development. Do they start to 5-man? Do they decide to spread the map and try to cut it up a little bit more, try to carve up the map a little bit more with 2-3-man gangs? Or do you think they just straight up go, okay, we're going to run at you, we're going to have initiation advantage, probably at least early, and it's going to be tough for you to counter-initiate unless you, like... I feel like if they end up leaving Sven out to just farm, they're going to lack so much damage they just can't fight. And if they bring him to a fight, they're going to have to cope with the fact that if he's slow on a BKB or whatever other item he wants to grab, then he's going to be a very susceptible target.
Well, yeah, that's true, but what they probably should do is, I mean, they need either Sven or the Shadow Fiend for damage, I think.
Right.
Both of those heroes do a large amount. Like you said, Sven probably is going to need a BKB before he feels really comfortable, so all they have to do is get a cheap item on Shadow Fiend, which is going to be a mech most likely.
Okay.
That'll give him the survivability to be able to take early fights, much cheaper item than BKB. In the meantime, Sven's going to be killing stacks, jungling, pretty much just free farming by himself in a hidden place. If Root doesn't know where he is and they don't go looking for him and finding him, then it should be okay for Unknown. So they do have opportunities to do 4/5-man stuff if they want to, but it's really up to Root to gank the Sven actively. I think Shadow Fiend is something they can control. I guess they have to be a little worried about it with Lesh, because Lesh is a bit squishy to physical damage, but as a whole, I think it really just depends on how good the ganks are in their early game. If Root gets a huge advantage, they have all these early game heroes, I think they have a good shot at just taking a tower. And that's actually a Wraith Band, possibly 2 Wraith Bands on... Oh no, it's a Wand and a Wraith Band, excuse me.
Okay.
So a lot of early stats, that'll give him an Aquila, obviously, and pretty good early damage items, about 15 damage for the Aquila, and... yeah, it's Ancient Apparition and Earthshaker are very squishy as well, so if any of those guys get arrowed at the start of the fight, it should be Root wins. So the arrows are really important on Mirana as well, because they don't really have the best initiators, and we'll probably see Mirana, Skywrath, and Dazzle maybe start roaming around as well, or maybe Dazzle sitting behind the Lesh as he farms in a lane, or something like that, and consistent Darkseer pressure on the bot lane is what we'll probably see. So.
What I really want to see is how well the Lesh, the Mirana, the Lesh, the Darkseer, and the Skywrath mage work together. I mean, it's one of those things you theory crafted at 3 a.m. on your preferred forum. A nice vacuum into a split earth, followed by, Skywrath mage, mass amount of damage, Mystic Flare, and so on. That's a lot easier said than done. And
it's tough.
Yeah.
I don't, they need a Yules or something is probably I think that Lesh has to get a Yules this game.
Yeah.
Because they don't have any other reliable setup, really. I mean, they've got nothing else. How's he going to land Split Earth? He's level on Poison Touch is a really mediocre slow. I mean, they could just do arrow lands into fights, but that's really... I'm not so sure about how Mirana is going to do. I think he's a good player, obviously, but the arrow's got to land for them to be able to set up the kills. So that's one weakness in their draft. They do have early game heroes, but I feel like they're lacking obvious initiation heroes. Although Fluff has been doing well. He's got a couple kills to his name where he's been a part of 2 kills at least. So he's got 2 kills and 1 assist. He's doing really well. This is what you need to do on Sky, and he grabs the early Staff of Wizardry. Usually we see things like Null Talisman, stuff like that, but he may just be rushing the fastest force ever, which is a great item to have against Clock. So he's doing really good. It looks like he has no items, but that staff is an expensive item for an early game hero, so that's a big early advantage. If he gets a force at like 15 minutes as a support hero, man, what does Unknown do? That actually really limits their viability. Unless it's like a 4-man cog, then it doesn't really matter.
Right. Well,
you only got 1 force.
Yeah, they group up for a 4-man cog. They got bigger problems to deal with, I think. Looks like we are waiting just a little while, and hopefully we'll be back underway here shortly. Root seems to have the early advantage. Farming-wise, the Shadow Fiend is near the top, but given it's a Radiant Shadow Fiend, there's no surprise in that whatsoever. Making decent progress, as you said. He's got the Aquila and so on. After that, though, Root's exactly where they want to be. There are 2 primary cores, 37 last hits for the Mirana, 32 for Leshrac, and Sven. Sitting at 29, not too bad either. But the Darkseer is farming well as well. And
way better than Clock.
Yeah. One thing I love about a Darkseer pick in pretty much any situation is regardless of how tough the lane is, unless it's just completely outdrafted and there's just no chance, you were going to have no chance to actually get out into lane, he's kind of this pressure release hero. He can pick up those small items that the team needs. He can pick up items that you just need to try to deal with one specific threat. And like you said, the Clockwork sitting at 3 CS right now. I'm not even sure what level he is. He's got to be,
level
not
2.
Great. Eek.
Almost 3. Yeah, I mean, he did get zoned by the...
And he did die as well.
And Radiant Clockwork is pretty much. I think it is possible to do the tree cogs trick, but it's not even close to the same as the dire side. So that's not one advantage that Greedy is able to have.
Yep.
A lot of clocks have been able to get a fast 3 because of it, but on the Radiant side, it's not nearly as good. He can do side pull, obviously, a side pull, but Dazzle's just been zoning him, so not too much he can do there. So the only thing that Unknown's draft just looks a little scary to me because their supports are so vulnerable. Both A and Earthshaker are huge targets to aim for, and if either of those two do get initiated on, it's almost entirely up to the Clockwork to cancel somebody from dying. He has to hook shot in, and he's not 6 yet, so before that happens, it's looking really scary for Unknown. Same goes for Fiend. He needs a mech. Doesn't really get saved. Maybe a Sven BK or a Sven Blink is what they need as well. I'm sure he will actually farm one because he did the same on
But that just
on
delays
Ursa,
the BKB. And that's kind of the issue, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I just looking at their lineup, and as we talk this out and look at where they are item development wise, they're not. I mean, outside of the Clockwork is getting crushed in the one-on-one comparison. It's not as if they're not farming. It's not as if they don't have a chance. Farming build on Sven and so on and so on. I just feel like the items required to feel comfortable in the mid game is such a higher threshold for Unknown compared to where it is.
Die to the Iron Shell by himself.
But see, and then that's the thing. Like, actually, Spin's a Storm Hammer just the last day, but okay. But yeah, we just see it right there. How is this Finn, if he does end up going with the Blink, which mobility would certainly help, especially whenever you're talking about all the obstructions he's going to have to work out from his own team, let alone what's being thrown at him from Root. The magic damage output is just going to be tremendous. And
is the Monkey's going to predict him being at the small camp?
Let's see.
He's not there. He might just dive and solo kill this AA, though.
Yep.
You can definitely pressure like this as an early Darkseer, and it gives your team a huge advantage. He does have a Soul Ring in case his Iron Shell runs out, but good juking by the A, and the creeps are all gone, so he has to back off.
Yep.
But, forcing Sven into a small camp right now, he's farming okay because he does have huge amounts of cleave, but it's not that great. And he did pop his ultimate for this. Nothing really bad about that, though. But, just to finish these two less large creeps, he's going to have huge issues with this. There have been a lot of disconnects today. It's a lot of server issues on multiple teams. Might just be the servers being overloaded because so many people are watching the qualifier games, most likely. Clockwork picking up 3. Looks like he just might die. It's got an arrow and a leap on Mirana, and Dazzle with the Skywrath Mage. 2 slows at 30% is pretty much a stun, so he should be able to land the arrow. It all comes down to how the cogs hit. If it catches the Mirana good, drains his mana, maybe doesn't get an arrow off, he could live, but he's looking pretty dead to me right now. Emotionally as well as
Well, another pause, as you mentioned, and seems like wherever I go, man, there's network issues. I blame you.
Don't worry. It just happened today. Yesterday was pretty good as a whole. Today, there's been a lot of pauses, but it seems to be like the entire team. Unless there's like somebody going on a crazy DDoS spree, it's more likely than not just server issues.
I'm just flashing back to to D2L, the last season of D2L, and I don't really want to revisit that for long. But plagued by network issues would probably be putting it moderately kindly. So, but yeah.
Oh, nice. We can now analyze the map. Ooh,
great.
We got
Thank
Fluff,
you.
the anti-gank, the anti-DDoS, the anti-stream cheat protection. Ooh, that's... And Unknown has players from Union Gaming who did indeed do some alleged stream cheating.
Was that ever confirmed, or did they?
Somebody alt-tabbed to Twitch TV during the game they were playing, which seems pretty blatant to me, and it was on video proof, so it looked pretty likely. So that's why I don't think they're doing it seriously. It was probably like, they're like, dude, they're pausing, maybe we should block out the map or something, and well, it's probably... I don't know if it's the same players. I know it was, people keep saying former Union Gaming players, but yep. I have no idea which distribution it is. Maybe it's some, maybe it's not others. Who knows?
What's the level of delay we're on? Do you know?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Good.
It is the highest ever for every year. It's always TI. TI is the longest by far. Mm-hmm. Most other streams are like 2 minutes, as I'm sure you know.
Not recently, I don't.
Yeah.
I've missed Dota so much, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I feel out of sorts. Like, I don't know. Did you ever play like sports? Play basketball, tennis, whatever.
Uh-huh.
You play sports at all? Like any regular?
I did a little bit growing up.
Okay.
Moderate amount.
Like, for you basketball players out there, it's like, go out and try to fire off a nice strong left-handed dribble whenever you haven't shot or played for 4 months. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now. But could not be better suited to a casting partner right now. Purge dropping the knowledge, and I'm sitting here and learning as we go. I have so little experience with this patch, man. Like, I mean, not
have
just
you been playing it much?
I've tried. To tell you the truth, time's just not there.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's hard to find time to play everything when you're busy with work and
yep.
personal schedule stuff. So, But it's pretty fun. Did you get fed up with the last patch like everybody else?
Oh, last patch was like genuinely the worst thing that has happened to Dota, and I think ever. Like, I can't think of a patch I hated more. Like, really and truly.
Yeah, I think the whining was pretty extreme, but there was some major negative aspects. I think the nerfs were in the right place. So.
What stood out to me was, I have a ton of friends, not just personal friends, but people that work in the industry, and we'll cover that story another time. Anyway, different patch and a different season now as TI5 qualifiers resume 1-3. Root has the advantage.
Will he die? If they don't spot him here, he may not die. Well, they don't. You know what? They can't see everything like we can, so they're like, okay. We don't know if he's there. They could have put an observer ward down the lane, but I think it'd be a bit of a waste. I like doing that as a support if I had a carry that's a little squishy, easy to kill, but Potom is definitely not that. So he'd probably rather take the observer ward and place it in a safer place, such as...
Big stack.
Yeah, that's going to be good. Some levels there for Earthshaker, a lot of gold, and yeah, he is going to be building mech.
Yep. In fact, he's not far from it. That's going to be, I don't know, should be in about another, 800 gold, give or take, something like that.
Yeah,
just finish his headdress and the buckler. So how important of an item is that mech? Like, is it a safety valve item, or is it an item that's going to let them go try to take fights? Greedy's going to be spotted out trying to grab the cog, drops his own cogs, trying to grab the rune. And fun right there.
That's a dead hero.
Yep. That is, that Clockwork is 4 CS right now. That's his second death out in that off lane before 10 minutes. Like, he's becoming a liability.
Yeah, Clock on Radiant just not as good. And see where Fluff places ward instead. He put it behind the tier 1 tower. This helps him guarantee kills if heroes like come to defend. To answer your question before, mech on Shadow Fiend is built every single time, I think. I dare say that almost no Shadow Fiend ignores the mech, just because the amount of HP that it gives you, and the armor is really good for the early game. I mean, you can go for a fast BKB, but that item has very serious consequences every time you use it. And obviously mech was also nerfed here. Perfect vision, of course, because of the ward. There's the slow. There they go, double Starfall. Starfall being better, it has been buffed in the patch, by the way. It doesn't hit a random target within that small 175 radius. Now hits the closest, so if you are standing on a Clockwork like that, you know that you're going to hit that guy for 500 magic damage. It's a really impressive nuke at this point, especially versus Clock. You're like, oh, you cogged? Well, I'm just going to jump in there, and I know for a fact it's going to hit you. Worked out nice, and that's 2 kills now from Rana, and they get the tower. The ward completely worth it, and in a better place than it would have been if they lane warded before.
And it is a max build for that as well. So you're talking in terms, and this is kind of what we both anticipated, is they're hitting that point now. They don't need a whole lot more to really begin to not just pressure the map, pressure Sven, try to cut down on the farm of those 2 cores in the Sven and the Shadow Fiend. But they're going to be able to take concerted fights. Sven is being very, very careful. Did finish his Mass Madness as we saw. He's going to have a chance to take a stack here if he wants it, but we can already see Shadow Fiend.
Forcing a TP.
Yep. Had to get their sugar out.
TC pretty farmed right now. Arcane Boots wand with a bottle, and again, Sven has taken the Ancient stacks, but it was only about a 3 stack, and I have a feeling, if we could take a look at net worth, I don't think his net worth is that high in the scope of the game.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty good considering that he was against a Darkseer and he got zoned a lot, but I mean, compared to natural farmers like Shadow Fiend and Lesh, he's going to be pretty far behind, and especially against a hero that not only can last hit, but get kills. Mirana's way ahead, and there's the first invisibility looking for the kills. There's actually nobody here. They're going to spot out the invis on Monkeys Forever there, so they do know that everybody on the Dire team is invisible, and again, another observer ward placed down. Maybe this one a bit of a waste here, but if they can get the tower, it's going to be not a big deal. AA ulti coming to the bot lane. I don't think they can see this. No sentry there, and that's a double hit. They will have to back up there. They could have guaranteed that tower if the AA ult didn't hit. I would have tanked that. But they can very quickly get under range, and the Radiant team is just simply not defending this. They don't really feel safe doing this, apparently.
Right.
They're off in their places farming. Sven just used most of his HP to kill Ancients. He can't come fight. Maybe their team is too AFK here. Maybe a bit of a crack of Unknown showing that if the enemy team does play really aggressive and they outlane, I mean, that was a 10-minute rotation from the carry. You know, that's exactly what Mirana lets you do, and that's maybe what they theorize. They're like, oh, Unknown plays really jungle heavy with a safe support farming. All we need to do is pick a carry that's not really a carry, that's like a semi-carry, and we just need to go aggressive right now. Don't let him use Mask of Madness.
He actually wound up the Storm Arrow the second time. Realized it's not the time. Good fish are going to catch 2. And Root, you know, this is kind of what I was worried about. Root now has the potential to take this jungle over. The timer is over for Unknown. They have to win a fight sometime soon. They cannot allow this jungle to just disappear this way. And they're going to be forced to come. The mech should be done, if not done already, on the Shadow Fiend I didn't see. Yep, it's finished and ready to go. But what do you think is going to be Unknown's approach to this? What's the best way for them to try and take a fight? And if you're Root, do you just sit back and wait on the Mirana all cooldown and just continue to shut this jungle down and just play it patient, or do you play hyper aggressive? It's going to be about 35 seconds now for that.
Most important thing to do is get wards down and cover your jungle, but they did just get one dewarded. They put in too much of an obvious spot. I think that one was too clearly dewarded, so a bit of a mistake there from the supports. By getting the ward down, you can see the rotations, and then you can avoid and farm other places. But because they don't have vision now they have to do a lot of predictability. You have to say, like, oh, we have to sit behind our cores and may get gone on, or you have to anticipate where they're going to be. And this leads to a guessing game, and if your guessing game is wrong, you're going to be at a big disadvantage. This is really bad for Moo. He doesn't have his leap. Oh. Lets the star fall down. Is there a hookshot? Nope, not level 6 yet for the clockwork, and he does dodge the arrow. No problem at all. Level 5 on clock, he's almost 6. It was a little dangerous for Potom, but she did take care of that nicely. I like the little luck into the Roche pit.
Yep, Oh
my god, the 4-staff is done.
Yep. Well, and that's kind of like whenever they were pressuring the jungle there and just keeping attention off him. Fluff's been up there for a while. He's doing quite well in Networth. He's near the Darkseer. We saw how well Darkseer did with that duo lane opening combination. And of course, he has been super active. 3-0-2, which, as you mentioned, is what you have to get out of a Skywrath Mage in this patch to really begin to feel effective. But the map is beginning to feel very cramped for Unknown. I think they dealt with the jungle pressure fairly well there. They were able to run them out without a whole lot of lost time. But the items, again, coming online for Root so much more quickly than Unknown. They have to be ready to fight. There's going to be a big one. We can already see another tier 1 down below half health. This might be a fighter. They're thinking about it.
They do have Glyph. There's a mecha up on Monkeys Forever. I'm not going to be able to block him off there.
Yeah.
They do defend this, but again, we still have Fluff sitting top and farming. And the more levels he gets, the better, because if at this stage in the game, if anybody gets stunned, they will die to Sky ulti, pretty much. If he throws an Arcane Bolt to silence and an ult, it's it. And I'm talking arrows, basically. Back when Sky used to be really popular before TI, that was one of the best combos. If the arrow lands, you know exactly where he is. The range on the ulti is really big, and you throw the damage down. And this is pretty pathetic for Unknown that they're so far behind that Sven has to worry about the support Skywrath safe farming the lane. And that's because he doesn't have a blink. If he had a blink, he could probably ult. He actually already ultied, by the way. I don't know why, but
he is going BKB first, by the way, skipping the blink.
A ulti. If he actually set up for that, I think that was a kill. A little bit of miscommunication there. That could have been a stun in 2 hits, and that would have been Fluff dying. So he does have a 4-staff, though, and Fluff's good enough where I think he could turn and get out of the range by a bit. But instead, Kotaro goes for the jungle, and the A ulti is a bit wasted.
Well, Shadow Fiend found an Invis rune, and if they wanted to try to do something, try to get a good gank, now might not be a terrible time, as Root has backed off and looks like they're happy to play the farming game for at least a little while. That's certainly going to favor that Shadow Fiend, who has now taken over the top net worth slot. And I'm actually a little disappointed that Root, they were in such a good position to put pressure on the jungle and on these cores, and look at the stack already at the...
That's been really good.
Yeah, and I think Root is really missing a bit of an opportunity here. They need to get something going because they have the team fight to do it. Every minute they wait is one more big item that we're going to see out of the spinner. Shadow Fiend, yep, there's going to be the arrow.
He can't kill this, though.
Yep.
It would not do nearly enough damage. It'd be about half his HP, and then he's got mech. So they probably, I think you're right, they do need to pressure a little bit more. The stacking, essentially, they probably should have blocked Ancients for sure, because look, Earthshaker just got like a 5-stack going for the Sven, who can kill it very easily. They did pressure mid a little bit, but they could definitely keep doing it. And again, look, Sven is just using his ulti and his cooldowns just to farm. Dazzle's about to put a ward down, and he's going to be like, oh, okay, we should have done that earlier.
Yep.
He just got a lot of gold. That's level 12 for him.
Look how close
I really hope
he
gets Warcry. That is a 1 skill point wonder. Please skill Warcry, guys. It's like free drum charge.
Oh, there's a vacuum.
Pulls
Nice.
him out. A little bit of mistake there. Bad coordination between Root, but they had so much damage, it didn't even matter.
Well, we saw, that's a good kill for them, but, coming back to what we were talking about, so far as not allowing Unknown to do what they're doing, which is basically just farm these jungles without any real pressure. Moo's there, and he's harassing. Second time he's run into him, just imagine if he had a little bit of help there. Imagine if he had even just one other hero. He could have thrown, he could have thrown an arrow from the high ground, and that's a dead Shadow Fiend.
I'm going to agree with that completely. They really need to put an aggressive support in the jungle with Mirana. If he's going to be roaming around, they might as well get him with some other support that has soul kill potential. They very easily could kill any core on Unknown with those 2 heroes because they have so much farm. I think that's really right there.
TC
gets the tower. Yules comes up. Will he go for the stun? He will.
Got it.
But he's got to watch out for the Ice Blast. Ooh, fun. A little bit on a different page there. There's Mirana ulti. Gonna get him in Viz.
That entire sequence just felt weird.
Stun comes through.
Nice.
Bonus damage as well. Lightning Storm still up.
Oh, God.
Vacuum damage, man. Gotta watch out.
Here we go, gonna try to follow this up. Greedy's there, Cogs down to the low ground Fluff. He's gonna eat a lot of damage, but the Mystic Flare finishes him off as well. So we're going to have 3 down on Unknown. I was just going to say, that was poorly executed at the front by Root, like horrendously executed, but they made up for it. This is that timing window they need to be hitting, and we just saw right there, point blank, how susceptible all of these heroes are. And the one hero that you should be able to bank on if you're Unknown to really get into the middle of these fights, to be that bruiser, that brawler up front, to take the pressure off of your Shadow Fiend, he's paper mache. You're talking a Clockwork that has just 100 more net worth gold than the Ancient Apparition. So Unknown is really in a lot of trouble here. That Sven, though, the BKB, yes, it is done. That's such a key item for them.
Time to play, basically, is what Sven says. He's been in 1 kill so far, but that's it. And his Ancients are going to be blocked now. They'll figure that out shortly. They can deward that, but that's pretty significant if nobody is able to stack that up.
That's actually just a tremendous amount of farm out of Sven, given how
he's done great.
Given they pressured that, even though we're both kind of think they could have done it more and maybe should have done a better job. The fact that it's so much of that is just owed to really solid stacking. He took a lot of big stacks. Shadow Fiend actually trumps him in terms of last hits, but he's already got a Mask of Madness and a BKB, and Shadow Fiend with an Ogre Club and 1,200 gold towards a BKB of his own. Root needs to light a fire right now. They got to get something going because they're in a decent position. We saw it in that last fight. And they took the tower as well. But this is getting to that point where you can't wait a whole lot longer. You need to really break their back soon.
Was that a fire joke? Like, they used to be Team Fire?
No. Yes.
You should
yes,
have
it
known
was.
That.
I am super clever.
Nice. The one good thing that they did do by having 2 heroes top on Root consistently was that Unknown didn't feel completely safe pushing out the bot lane. I think at least it drew more heroes to the top lane, so the carries that were left bottom were usually solo. Fast guarding Greaves here on Monkeys Forever, that'll keep people alive if they're low, and lots of mana pool as well. Arcane Boots also coming out on Leshrac, so they have a ton. Leshrac and Skywrath Mage actually, so they have 3 Arcane Boots now. That's pretty impressive, and a Glimmer Cape. This is like the most farmed Skywrath Mage support I've ever seen.
But are they going to be able to get what they want out of it? And this, like what they're doing now, is what I feel like they should have been doing 5 minutes ago. And granted, now's better than not at all. But they're moving out as 3. They've got 3 under smoke. 1's coming up the lane trying to bait. Yes, if they can get the Shadow Fiend, this is a dead SF. This is what they need to do. Problem is, the Sven's still relatively untouched. And do you think Sven is in a good enough position that despite, I think he's doing all right.
This guy is so crazy, man. He's like, I'm going to do something crazy, and I'm going to solo Roshan. And he's going to get it, I think. It's, he's got that. Still doesn't have Warcry, doesn't care. Again, I thought about the math the other day. He's getting about 6 to 8 damage every time he gets a stat point over Warcry because of the way God's Strength works. So it's kind of worth it to get the extra stat points. And there he goes, gets Warcry at level 14. But another tower falls. Sven has done a good job getting farm, as has Shadow Fiend. Deso as an item, I think, is very good on bottom. It gives you a physical damage source basically so if they do get a BKB, you still can kill Shadow Fiend or Sven, for example. And because Sven hasn't gone very much Warcry, he will be a little susceptible to physical damage. Although Sven's base armor got buffed by 5 or something ridiculous recently. So I think it'll help. But think about him jumping on an Ancient Apparition.
Speaking of jumping on a Shadow Fiend again, they got him. Mystic Flare. And 2 deaths in just a matter of about 2 or 3 minutes. Root, very nicely from Moo.
He might be able to get him.
He should be able to.
He's going to have the arrow for vision. Spots him to the right. Can he kill him? It's going to be... Oh, he lost vision because the arrow passed through the knight. But look how close he got him there. Just with a Deso and a drum, he's actually very good at solo killing. If he finds an AA by himself, he can literally just leap and 5-shot the AA. Same goes with Earthshaker. Just the big damage output he'll get is going to be great. Deso isn't, something like Diffusal isn't really worth it. With the -7 armor and the cheaper cost of it being less expensive now, I feel like you really can do a lot with that Desolator.
And just to add to that as well, given they are so magic damage dependent, they're still going to have to take high ground. Even if they continue the pace they're on right now, really doing a decent job of slowing down at least the Shadow Fiend. Still a little worried that Sven is being largely uninhibited, but it's a good siege item. It's going to be something that's going to let you try to go high ground early, so make it a little bit more difficult at least for Unknown to turtle out.
Arrow passing through. I think he barely saw the Clockwork in some way. He pinged at least. Look at the magic damage coming through. Great Fissure is going to stop TC from landing his stun. I love the Skywrath Mage plus Leshrac. It's something you normally don't get. You think about your mid hero and with Skywrath Mage with the damage amp, but that's your carry. Your carry plus a Skywrath Mage can blow up anybody right now with the Yules. It's really nice combo. It fit their lineup together, I feel, because they didn't have an initiator before. Now if they get a Yules on Leshrac, he becomes their initiator.
It's 11-1 right now. Sven sitting atop the net worth, but after that, it's a whole lot of red as Rude has the
really
next
is.
4. If we can take a look at the net worth, I just want to see at 21 minutes, yeah. And you can see, and that slow kind of dip down, it was very even for a while, even though Root was kind of trying to make something happen. But the last few ganks have just completely tanked them. And in fact, like you can see the spikes go up from where the stacking really has kept Sven in particular. And decent stacking as well, not just on the Ancients, but decent stacking for the Shadow Fiend in the jungle as well. They're going to smoke, realizing that at 22 minutes, they have to make something happen. A catch on Moo here would be huge. You're going to have a chance. Beautiful fissure. They've got fun there, though. There's going to be the hook to follow.
This is okay for them.
Ooh. And can they follow it up? They're going to get... Oh, Fun Graves himself.
Good TP. Will that be good?
He's gone.
Yes. Okay. That was,
Greedy just
he gets
died!
the kill.
They got completely distracted. They turned on the Dazzle thinking Moo was gone, and Moo turns and gets a solo kill on the Clockwork. Now they're going to try to turn this around and catch them with everything off cooldown.
That was perfectly ideal. The hookshot landed on the hero that still had leap.
Yep.
So cogging him wasn't going to work. If he landed on Dazzle, Dazzle's 100% dead. That would have been a kill. No TP ready for him. But they all went for the Mirana. Mirana leaps away, and that's it. They lost their smoke. They lost their kill attempt, and another kill advantage going to Root. He's almost spotting out the A. Does it bounce? It doesn't. Very close. If he had a bit more vision there, that would have jumped,
Yep.
I think.
Would have had the Yules. Could have solo killed him.
Yep.
At bottom, we see that Deso going
He's
to work.
ready to go.
Is he going to go? There's going to be the visual lead. Moo at about a half health. And just being chopped down. Big kill. Monkeys comes in and just dies to mostly cleave damage. Now Fluff.
Oh my gosh.
Using that Force Staff.
He needs his Glimmer Cape, but he's got 6 seconds to go. One hit. There's the Grave. That'll buy him some time here. Silence as well, and he's TPing out. It's going to be close. He makes it. Nice escape. That'll be Dazzle's death, but that's a great kill for Sven.
Kill, man.
That was a Quelling Blade, by the way. That's normally something we only see Blink Sven's able to do, but really good ingenuity there by Kotaru. Able to get in position in a moment with combination of the fissure. He snuck in, he used his Quelling Blade, and he was right in there. Look at that. He Quelling Bladed around. Really good play there. That was so sick.
Not respecting the damage output from Sven.
Well, they didn't expect him to be there was the problem.
Well, I mean, even the Darkseer came in later, though, to try to help and died in 3 swipes. And here we go. TC wants to move in. There's going to be...
That's really dangerous.
And he's got to have some help from Fluff. Fluff did get the silence off. They're going to... Yep. There's the Aegis, though. Just an Aegis kill. And that Aegis was probably not far from expiring anyway.
Again,
missed it. Now they're going to try to turn this around. Here we go. Kotaro, about half health. Beautiful Mystic Flare. He's going to drop. BKB's up on Zoltaro. Ult goes off, catches Fluff. Force Staff gets him out of the way a bit. Monkeys Forever trying to follow. Another good fissure slows it down. Now the Mirana ult we're going to see.
That one didn't miss.
Split Earth on point. Through the trees that time. TC going to be Surge trying to find another target, but he went the wrong way. As we see the Earthshaker will scurry.
He might catch him. He's so fast. Look at this. Yules comes up. Is he going to hit it? That one was a little late, but he was feeling this, you miss a couple and you're like, oh, I'm really scared to use this ability. He got him, though. TC getting the most clutch stun of the game,
We
for
haven't even
sure.
talked about that Bloodstone, by the way. Up to 12 charges now on TC's Bloodstone. That's kind of nuts.
Yeah, it's a lot of mana regen. That's a fast horse, too. Just finishing up his BOTs now, running for like 460 movement speed all the time, if not slowed. So very good for him. And most importantly, he can TP from lane to lane, set up the solo kills. There's so many heroes that he can solo kill. He can solo kill AA, Earthshaker very easily. He can even mess with Sven very heavily. If Sven goes on him, he can run away in most cases, in worst case, suicide. So he's pretty much just... He's playing like a co-op role as a Leshrac. Usually we see more of like the tanky, I'm going to push things, but TC's like the solo kill monster right now.
Well, they're in this position now where, depending on how they want to play it out, they can push as 5 and really try to take fights that way. Maybe wait on an Aegis to come up, which we could see a bit off ways for now. But they also have the option, like you said, Lesh can solo kill, or they can just stick a Skywrath with him, and they're going to be able to kill any tandem they run into. That then frees up the Darkseer, the Mirana, and the Dazzle to roam around to pressure the jungle to try to just shut down farm. And speaking of shut down farm, that Shadow Fiend, who is in such an amazing position early, has fallen off. He's now quite low on the list. In terms of last hits, he's actually quite high. Net worth-wise, though, it just hasn't translated.
He's 0-5-1, and considering his farm being that high for how many times he's died, he's played pretty well. One item I really want to point out, look at Fluff. He's got a point booster and a vitality booster. Now, this could be an Octarine core. I'm not sure if it's going to be that or Bloodstone. I think I would like to see Bloodstone, though, because the Octarine core first, it does give him lifesteal on his abilities and to lower cooldowns and things, but he should play core Skywrath Mage at this point. He's 704. He should go for the carry items, and going Bloodstone into Ags or Bloodstone into Octarine Core, I think, is the way to do it. He can definitely make some big impact. Monkey's forever spotting out an Earthshaker. I don't think Earthshaker even noticed here. And that should be the kill setup. Lesh is coming.
Yep.
There's the vacuum. Great vacuum. And he landed the stun. It's a little bit weird out place. Great Echo Slam just in time. There. Damage coming out. Monkey's forever is low, but he should be able to heal. He doesn't get it off in time. And now TC in trouble.
Chopped
That's
down.
hero.
Yep, that's actually a little bit misexecuted. We've seen some of those splitters just be off a bit. The Echo Slam, like you said.
That's an instant cast. You can't.
Yep.
It's too hard. That one's tough to catch. You know what? They should have not been so close to him because he did stun them. That was the mistake that they made.
Well, decent little turnaround that time. They end up losing 2 for 1. At this point, the Earthshaker is so far down the list. He's been broke all game, but being able to drop the core Leshrac at the very least, as well as the Darkseer, who's also very well farmed, number 4 overall in terms of overall net worth. And I'm actually liking the way Unknown is adapting to this. They're still down. They still have a huge hill to climb. But those items are just coming out so quickly now. For Unknown, and we're beginning to see that damage potential out of Sven show itself. Like, you just can't blow him up fast enough to prevent that cleave damage from killing anyone that's grouped up at all.
He's a nice counter to Leshrac as well. Normally, you think of him more of a cleave hero, but he still does a ton of single target damage as well. And Lesh is building a BKB next, which he kind of needs, but it's still going to leave him very vulnerable to Sven. So Unknown has a decent window here. They have obviously taken all the outer towers, but Root's going to need a couple more items before they're ready to go high ground. And the fact that Sven keeps getting pickoffs like this could definitely lead to a situation where he gets a 5-man kill kind of a thing. So Root has to be careful. It's all about the Sven at this point.
Well, not only does he have crit, he's got his Blink Dagger and has for a while. So mobility really becoming, I mean, when we talked about Root's entire setup, so much of it was dependent on, okay, can you get the right setup? Can you take care of things, follow your stuns, hit the right chain? Daedalus now done, so his damage output is just going to be tremendous. And, you know, heroes like Fluff, as well as he's doing, I mean, he is tanking up now a bit, I guess, going for the, it will be a Bloodstone build, by the way. But, I mean, that's going to help. But they're still relatively squishy in terms of the pure amount of damage that's going to come off of one Sven cleave. So they have to be so careful about their positioning. And Root, who did a decent job of slowing down the Shadow Fiend, they're beginning to pay the price for not giving him enough attention to Kotaru.
He's just been off the map farming and going for the right kills, I think. It's just him playing really amazing, not necessarily Root's mistakes. It's kind of hard to say, but the way that he's playing this game is really impressive. I'm like, people have said that he was a fantastic player, and this game, I think, really proves it. Like, his team has been losing all game, and this guy's 5-1 and top of the net worth, so he's got the right hero. He can open the can that is Root this game if he does things right, but I don't really see Root getting a solution is the other issue. They don't have a BKB stun. They have heroes that are vulnerable to single target damage. They need like hexes or something to be able to deal with Sven, or they need to kite him. But the guy's so good, I feel like he's not going to make super positioning mistakes. So I'm feeling a little worried for Root here. They have a big advantage. Fluff is essentially being the 3-position farmer, but I don't know.
They're taking a shot at Roshan. This was spotted by Clockwork quite some time ago. There's going to be an Ice Blast, and Moo has to get out. The Shadow Wave was a bit late, so no heal came after it. And now, I think they can just run in and take this.
Ooh, and they smoked for it too. Man, this is such good game sense from them. They knew that the PL or that the Murano was really low. He actually had to TP back to base, so that's it. Roche goes down. That game sense is so good.
I have got something in my throat. Pretty sure I'm just dried out from flying. Anyway, but it's not. Well, the thing is, it's not just game sense. Root, that was spotted by the Clockwork flare way early on. They knew it was taking place. And then after the Ice Blast, I mean, it's ballsy to try and do that against a Clockwork and an Ancient Apparition to begin with, but especially when you know, if you leave Roche at half or a quarter health, Sven's going to be able to use God Strength and bring it down in about 4 swipes. So, like, it was well played by Unknown, but I feel like it was mostly just a really bad risk to take if you're Root.
Yeah, I mean, they had to back out as soon as the AA ult landed. That's pretty much what it came down to. The scary part was that they were like, okay, he's leaving, let's take it, we'll sneak in, we'll grab it. If Root would have noticed, maybe they could have done a wall vacuum on the cliff or something. It would have been scary. Look at that, they jump in, there's a heal, there's the grave, that's going to keep Murano alive. Oh, he does get caught at the clock, though. That guarantees he's at the 4-step. No, he's still alive. Glimmer Cape as well. They're chasing. Can they get him? Arrow's going to land perfect arrow on top of Clock, and what a huge save from Dazzle. Can they continue this? Maybe Sven in trouble here. There's the damage. They're chasing. Big dunk. Fluff at about half HP as well. TC pops to BKB. He kind of wants to chase. It's a little scary. Going after the Earthshaker. He doesn't have any mana left over. That's a slow wall as well. He almost dies, but he lives. Stun comes through. Monkeys forever. And again, chasing after him. BKB is used. His Scout Strength is just activated, actually, and TC getting surged right. Huge save there. That would have been TC's death otherwise. So 1 for 1 there. Big dazzle saves from Fun. Kept the Mirana alive, but he still gets cleaned up in a bit later due to the Sven.
That's a big fight, but ended up not really being a big win for anyone. Monkeys now chasing down the Ancient Apparition, not doing damage quite fast enough, but no one's really going to help. There's going to be the Ice Blast. And Monkeys may kill him. Yeah, he's going to vacuum, trying to stay on him. There's a Surge. And yeah, that's going to be a solo kill.
He didn't. Oh, the Fissure does come. He dodged the Ice Blast. That was the important part. Ooh, that's a Sven kill. If they have the follow-up stun, here it comes.
Oh, he shot it early! And Kotaru should be able to make it away. Oh, he's going to have help from the Shadow Fiend as well, but he's way out of position by himself, BKB. And now the Fissure to follow. Can they get TC? Damage isn't there. He's just got way too many items under his own belt. There's going to be a hook off the mark. Tried to catch Monkeys. And Kotaru going right back to farming as he does. There's going to be a force step onto the high ground. Trying to get him. Vacuum there from Monkeys. And they're going to try to follow this up. He is silenced and he is getting a lot of damage. Beautiful arrow. Greedy. Caught out and cogged himself in. There's a good grave to keep TC alive following. And the arrow.
And the chase.
And honestly, this is where Root excels, I think. Running right at Unknown hasn't worked for them, but whenever they can just catch one hero out of position and then capitalize and pursue, they're so mobile, they have so many ways to track them down from distance. That's the wins that they need. And now with Sven down for, he's down for 60 seconds and no buyback.
This could be the Rax. That was a really nice play from Fluff there. Jumped on the Sven's position, who was farming Ancients, but that was one of those aggressive plays like I've been talking about. He did something pretty greedy, and it wasn't quite perfectly thought out. He got caught up there, and that resulted in his death. So a little bit greedy from the Sven results in their Tier 3 taking a lot of damage. It looks like they will end up backing out from this. I'm not going to see the tower fall unless the next creep wave comes in, but it's something they maybe can. I mean, TC's got full mana again. He was definitely having mana problems last fight. The fight was so long, it just didn't work out. Arrow's going to come through, not popping on anybody.
Nope.
19 seconds. They can definitely take the tower, at least.
They should. I mean, Sven's going to be back up in 15. He does have the Blink Dagger. We'll be able to get back into it.
Is it Edict? No Glyph, so yeah, this tower's gone, I think. Unless Clock gets an amazing hook. They're looking for it. Smoke from the side. There's Blink up on Earthshaker as well, of course. But tower goes and they run. Yeah, Fluff maybe will get caught, but he does have Glimmer as well as Force. And a Bloodstone on him. Probably Octarine on him next. I think maybe an Eggs is possible because you do have a lot of mana regen from the Bloodstone. You could potentially, if they arrow somebody and he can drop a double ult and do like 2,000 magic damage, not something we see often on Skywrath Mage, but it could be an option here.
Yep, for sure. Right now, Root completely in the driver's seat. They take a Tier 3, Rax are still standing, and the late game potential of Unknown still, well, it's the opposite. It is quite known. Root, with the Mirana in such a good position, is going to be able to go toe-to-toe a little bit with ranged DPS, but again, that magic damage, I mean, BKB timers are getting short now. They did prioritize bringing them out, so we have seen them be used more than a few times, so they have to, at this point, Unknown really has to initiate better. They have to make sure they're not being pursued out, they're not being cut up and killed off one by one. In a 5-on-5 fight with BKBs all active, they should have all of the advantage. And Root has been showing themselves a little too eager at times to over-pursue into bad situations. And I think Unknown, if they can just continue to farm up to do their thing, they have all the potential in the world to turn it around, but they have to start punishing Root a bit more. Root, on the other hand, has basically amassed all of their kill lead purely on punishment kills.
So are they looking to smoke right now? Looks like they will move across potentially. Maybe they're anticipating Unknown smoking. Unknown's all off the map right now. It's like one of those times where you're like, I think you're smoke ganking, and then the other team's like, I think you're smoke ganking. Except, looks like Root actually will be.
Yep, Root, I thought about it, and now here he comes.
Do they have detection? I just realized a Glimmer Cape on Unknown would do a huge amount to save Root from killing them as well.
That's a 5-man smoke as well. So they're going as a whole team, and they're going to try to find something up the gut as they cross the river. And they actually have a great chance for a wraparound. Do they have any vision? I don't think they know anyone's there as of right now. They drop a ward. And they will move across, but they're going across the ridge line near the Ancients. They are going to come from behind.
Are they cutting up or are they staying mid? If they stay mid, wait for somebody to farm it, they can potentially kill them and take the Rax. but it's all about where they think their opponents are. And then if they're elongating their smoke by popping
Courier. 2100 gold, whatever
Not
was on
sure.
it. It was
Ultimate Orb? Okay.
Arrow
coming through. Will it land?
barely.
Dazzle Poison touching on top of the Shadow Fiend. Can they catch somebody else? There's a bit of a lightning. They dust as well. BKB up. This should be the death of Clockwork. He'll probably hookshot before he dies. We'll see. There it goes to one of his allies. A little bit of Desolate damage on the Shadow Fiend. His BKB's got to be low here, but TC's is pretty much the same. Great leap dodge stops the stun.
Beautiful.
That means Sven's damage output's going to be a bit weak for here. There's the wall as well. Big dunk on TC. TC in trouble. 2-shot by the Sven.
What a grave!
Arrow comes through. Earthshaker drops. And now the slow on Sven. He's in
They
trouble.
kited him unbelievably well. They ended up losing TC, but in the end, it really didn't matter. That was such an amazing sequence of great plays across the board. Moo with the leap dodge of the Stormhammer, as we saw. And, I mean, that's what we were talking about. Root just being patient, playing that out patiently. And now we'll have a quick replay. We can see TC a little overextended here, but you can see.
Watch this dodge. That is so big.
So good.
He would have died right there if he didn't dodge it.
And the AA ult comes in, but at that point, Root is just playing it out so well. TC gets caught right there, but Kotaru at this point has only swung 2 or 3 times in any meaningful way. Look at the grave.
That grave, man.
Almost enough. The Earthshaker, boom! Arrow in the back from Moo. And, Moo at this point just able to chop away at Kotaru with that Desolator damage. TC was only about a second away from living there as well, so that actually could have been worse. But speaking of worse, how about a Rax down as Root finally taking a win and translating it to what they want, which is a Rubble standing at tier 3. There's going to be a hook in from Greedy.
This is dangerous.
Cogs up Moo, and Moo. It seems like Greedy continues to want to initiate on Moo, but Moo can always leap away, and they end up getting nothing. Coming back out. There's going to be a grave that's going to keep one alive. And now Kotaru going to turn and
TP.
stare at him.
Oh, man.
Mean mugged him.
How many TP outs is this guy going to get? They were invis. I don't know if they had a stun or anything else like that, but he makes it out. Nobody on Root dies with the exception of TC getting killed on the top in that last fight, as we saw in the replay. So looking good for him. He picks up a plate mail that'll make him a lot more resistant to damage versus the Sven. Most likely will be a Shiva's Guard. I'd like to see what Fluff is at in terms of items. Last we saw he had a Bloodstone. He's got
14
BOTs,
charges.
I guess. No, he probably bought BOTs because he disassembled for the Bloodstones. So he's had the Glimmer Cape for a while. So 500 gold for him, maybe something on the Courier, but unlikely. So he's doing really well. Soul Booster now on top of Darkseer. Very likely going to be a Octarine Core.
Yep.
Something that Monkeys Forever has actually been building a lot today. He built it on Earthshaker as well. Works out on Darkseer, lower cooldowns on Surge. Surge very good against Sven. Vacuum Wall combo will be lower. His mech cooldown will be lower. Actually, it's not just mech. It's his Guardian Greaves. It goes from 45 to even lower than that. Now, I think the overlap period is maybe not that fast, but he can at least pump a lot of mana into his team. So, and Soul Ring, man. Got to get that Soul Ring cooldown down. That's OP right there.
If we could take a look at Shadow Fiend really quickly. This is kind of, you look at the Shadow Fiend, he has no damage built at all. And this is really showing itself. We saw in that last fight, he BKB'd, waddled up to the fight, tried to give him the slaps, and really it was just not mattering. So even though he does have his ulti, even with full soul charges, he's just not getting enough damage out. And that's making this a Sven show. And the problem is, Sven is being kited so well. Like, Root, I think, the Shadow Fiend has to have the survivability. You mentioned the mech, how it's pretty much a ubiquitous pickup at this point. BKB against this team composition in particular is a must-have and remains a must-have, but without him having any real dedicated damage, I don't know how they kill Root unless Root just stands still for a 5-man Stormhammer and gets killed. Like, I don't know how they're going to do it.
It all comes down to the Sven initiation. If he can jump directly on the Potom or the Leshrac and burst them down before they get graved, then they can definitely win the fight. And that's also very reliant on what the Clockwork hook shots.
Yep.
If he can initiate on the Dazzle, do the mini stun, maybe delay the grave a bit too long, then they can definitely win a fight. Sven has the items to take the win here versus Root. But it's definitely scary if that perfect initiation doesn't happen. He's going to get kited.
Yep.
So one thing I wish that Root had the possibility to get against the Sven is a Scotty. Scotty is like the perfect anti-BKB melee hero counter, but Mirana has a Desolator. That doesn't stack directly with Scotty. He'd have to sacrifice either or, but I think going in the late game, Scotty might be better against the Sven to make him very, very limited on damage output, and there's not really anybody else that's going to want to build it. Maybe TC could opt for one, but very, very unlikely. There's generally better items like, I don't know, Sheepstick or something.
Well, he does have the Shivas up now, which does help a little bit.
That's a good point, actually. But the nice thing about Scotty is it goes right through BKB.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. You just nail them and they're going to have a bad time.
Well, speaking of Scotty, Shadow Fiend did finish his. So he's, again, like, his damage isn't bad. I mean, he's hitting for more than 200. It just, we'll see if the Scotty is going to make that big of a difference. The mobility on the side of Root is just such a big deal right now.
The nice thing about the Scotty and SF is mostly the HP, and that's what he's got going for him. It also gives you a little bit of armor as well that helps counter the Desolator. If the bottom does use Leap, you can actually secure that kill rather than pretty much having no chance of doing that with his Yasha. So the Scotty will help give him some control. Kind of same goes for maybe supports that are out of position. Dazzle and Skywrath Mage have to be more cognizant of SF's positioning. If he goes on them instead, they might not be able to get away, or at least force the TP out. That is a fast horse, dude. Centaur.
Technicolor Unicorn.
Yeah.
Let's see if they... Yeah, I mean, at this point, they can choke the map so effectively.
Ooh, he's going to go mid. The
God
blink
strength.
out. Oh, that's God Strength. If they disengage right now and re-engage in about 30 seconds, that's a Rax. A major mistake made by Kotaru here, getting spotted by the Darkseer.
And
that was so big.
And again, they're so one-dimensional in terms of their damage at this point.
Yes.
They have AoE, that's fine, but with the Shadow Fiend having decided to build purely for survivability, purely utility's the wrong word. I mean, the Scotty's going to help them, but again, mobility en route means the Scotty's not nearly as effective in just being able to allow Sven to stick to targets in general, especially with TC already moving so damn fast to begin with. Arrow shot blind. Ooh.
We haven't yet seen an Arrow sieging high ground, but these are top-tier players, man. They're going to be able to see that coming.
Look at this tier 3, and they just can't fight. The Sven hanging out to the north, but what's he going to do?
36 left on his ultimate, so it's not really somewhere they want to fight just yet. They just need to delay until the ultimate comes up. The A ulti whiffs on everybody here.
That hurts.
And again, the Deso plus the Edict is going to mean for a fast tower. Tower goes down. Again, spamming Lightning to try to stop the Blink Daggers, released by him a couple times. The Edict damage goes through. Range Barracks almost done. There's the smoke. We almost have Sven ulti. They do glyph. Bit more time. 12 seconds. That's not going to be enough. Range Barracks is going to fall for sure. Another Lightning stopping the Blink on the SF. Range Barracks going down.
They may want to fight.
Touchdown on creeps. That was even close.
Terrible. TC, though, is a little bit left out, but the BKB's popped. They have a chance to move out. TC missed everything on the Shivas. Kotaru did come in. Yep, he did manage to backstab. Now he's going to BKB with God Strength. And Moo in a bit of no man's land already used Leap. There's going to be the Yules. There's going to be a Grave as well. Good vacuum. There's going to be the wall as well. And now Kotaru trying out damage him. Can he do it? No!
Air hits on SF2. There's the damage. Great force staff to save him. And Fluff is back. Bloodstone and the BOTs. He gets back in. There's the heal, but that's 2 supports and a buyback already on Earthshaker. That melee barracks is going to fall almost for sure. Echo Slam's already been used, so we won't see anything amazing happen here. And that's the second Rex. Arrow hits on the vacuum as well. That's going to be a double kill. And is that the end of the game? Is that it?
Ball game.
Man, Root Gaming taking it to Unknown. Kotaru did his best to hold things together, but we just saw no levels out of the clockwork, and his presence was just, frankly, never relevant throughout the entire game.
Nope.
They really needed him to separate the supports, and Root gets the important one-game win. They need the next one. That's what they have to do, and based on how that first game went, I definitely think they can do
I'm pretty sure for Unknown, that means any realistic chance they had at going deep is pretty much over now, right?
But that's still really impressive. They came from the open qualifier,
for sure,
you know?
For sure.
They weren't even invited. They were like, oh, you know, these open qualifier teams, usually the stage goes, the teams that are qualified, they're good for their bracket, but not good against the next bracket. But they actually competed decently against the invited. It was a good showing for them. I think Kotaru is a huge talent. He made a couple mistakes in the last game, maybe something we would look at as pub mistakes, being like, oh yeah, I can get this kill, or oh yeah, I can farm this ancient camp. A little too greedy sometimes, maybe not as perfect game sense as I was hyping him up at the beginning, but he still did amazing. He did a lot of really creative things. He got really fast farm despite adversary. And he wasn't able to hold things together. The only positive person on his team, the Shadow Fiend, farmed really well. And Greedy just had a really bad game.
I mean, so much of this loss, I think, has to do with that. I mean, you cannot draft a lineup like this that is so dependent on controlling not just the pace of a fight, but the space of a fight, being able to block heroes off, being able to make sure that they are stuck on the ground so Sven can get on top of them. And, you know, again, with the Shadow Fiend, going with the build, he did more of a survivability-oriented build than anything else. He was a damage dealer to a certain extent. 6 and 3 certainly doesn't help. But you were so all in on that Sven damage, and whenever you have one of your initiators, I mean, the Blink Dagger did eventually come out on Z-Talk, but it was extremely late. He was 1-6, really broke all game. And the Ancient Apparition, I mean, he got his scepter.
He did okay, I think.
Yeah, but by the time these items that they had to have came out, they was just so overbuilt. I mean, what was it, the Force Staff out at like 12, 13 minutes?
Yeah, it was like a 12-minute support Force Staff. That's good.
Ridiculous.
Fluff played like a core role. He played really well that game. Good rotations, zone people properly, set up